Welcome back to Mission of the Chosen. Today we uncover why heaven paused, why your pain has purpose, and how a whispered call can rearrange everything in your life now. There are moments when the ordinary world falters, and something far greater presses in. A hush, a holy pause that feels louder than any trumpet. You may have felt it as a trembling in your chest, a sudden clarity at 2 a.m., or the way your spirit refuses to settle for small comforts. That stillness is not random, it is invitation. It is an interruption designed to pull you out of routine and into destiny. Hear me plainly. This message isn't about dramatic hype or hollow motivation. It's an urgent, tender summons for those who sense they were made for more. Many of you have carried heavy, private burdens, betrayal, loneliness, nights spent asking if anyone sees you. Those wounds were not wasted. They have been preparing you for a weighty calling you can no longer avoid. Why now? Because heaven sometimes clears the schedule. It quiets angels, pauses heaven's music, and leans in so that a single message will cut through your noise and rearrange everything. Scripture reminds us that we are known by name. Isaiah 43:1 says, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, you are mine." These words are alive for you now. They are not merely ancient promise, they are present voice. You might resist that claim, who, me, and that resistance is expected. The human heart balks at weight. But listen, the trials you endured were not arbitrary. They were the forge that made your capacity to carry glory. Every closed door, every sleepless night, every rejection has been shaping the vessel you are becoming. Where others had comfort, you had preparation. Where others stayed small, you were being trained. This is also why the enemy has pressed so hard against you. Opposition is not always a sign of failure. Sometimes it is proof you are marked. Darkness recognizes light it cannot mimic, and it attacks what threatens its hold. Your struggles, then, are indicators, evidence that you are not average, that your assignment matters. Do not mistake pressure for punishment. Pressure often precedes promotion. A practical step in this moment: choose, briefly, to respond. Not later, not when you feel ready. Now, speak a small declaration, write it, say it, something that turns hearing into action. In the life of faith, words form worlds. A quiet, deliberate vow shifts spiritual weather. You may also wonder if your hidden seasons were wasted. They were not. The time in the dark, the seasons of concealment, have been God's laboratory for the gift inside you. Think of the biblical pattern. Heroes often spend years unseen before they are unveiled. That hiddenness preserved you from pride, strengthened your roots, and kept the oil of your anointing for the right hour. So for now, begin with one small step. Name your willingness. Declare, even quietly, "I will rise." Type it, say it aloud, write it on a page. This is not performative, it's prophetic. It aligns your heart with heaven's timing and positions you to move when the pause ends. The hush you feel is not indefinite, it is a window. Act in this season of silence, and you will enter what follows differently, ready, anchored, and obedient. There is a truth that few want to face. The heaviest battles are often given to the ones who carry the brightest call. That weight you felt is not weakness, it is evidence. Life has demanded more of you because heaven has invested more in you. Think of how storms form. They never gather over empty deserts. They gather where rivers meet, where seas stretch wide, where life is abundant. In the same way, the storms you've faced prove there is something worth covering, something worth attacking, something worth protecting inside you. The enemy never wastes ammunition on what doesn't matter. You've been struck not because you are forgotten, but because you are significant. Each betrayal, each rejection, each season of loneliness was not a random cruelty. They were chisels, sculpting your spirit, cutting away what could not travel with you into your next season. And though you felt stripped bare, what remained was stronger, truer, and unshakable. This is why so many misunderstand you. To them, you seem too intense, too restless, too unwilling to settle for shallow answers. But what they didn't see is the crown hanging invisibly over your life, waiting for the right moment. Remember Joseph? His own brothers dismissed his dreams, yet those very dreams carried the blueprint of his destiny. You too have been dismissed, but dismissal is not denial. Pause for a moment and consider, how many times did you rise when quitting felt easier? That resilience was not just your personality, it was grace. Grace carried you when you had no strength left. Grace whispered when all you heard was doubt. Grace lifted you when you could barely breathe. Every step, every survival, was proof that your story was not finished. And here lies a mystery: the heaviest seasons have not crushed you, they have refined you. Like gold in fire, your motives were purified. Like roots pressed deep into soil, your foundation became unshakable. The pain you despised has been your preparation. The very wounds you tried to hide are the same ones that give you authority to speak life into others. Some may ask, why didn't God protect me from all of this? But sometimes, protection is not about avoiding the fire, it is about being kept in the fire without being destroyed. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood in flames, yet the fire could not consume them. Their survival testified louder than their suffering, so does yours. What you've endured is holy evidence. It marks you as one set apart, one trusted with more than comfort. And now the time is drawing near when what was hidden will be unveiled. Those who saw only scars will witness glory. Those who saw only struggle will watch strength shine through. The world may call it survival, but heaven calls it qualification. Your scars are not signs of defeat, they are seals of endurance, proof that your destiny is heavier than the chains that tried to hold you. Living in the present doesn't mean you abandon the future. It means you learn to anchor yourself here, in this breath, while still carrying vision for what's ahead. Too often, people chase tomorrow and mourn yesterday, all while missing the only place life actually happens, now. You've likely felt it, that pull of regret dragging you backward, that anxiety about what's coming pressing you forward. Both steal the only treasure you really hold, this moment, and this moment is holy. It is the meeting place where heaven and earth touch, where destiny whispers, where choices are made that ripple through eternity. There is an ancient wisdom that says, today is a gift. That is why we call it the present. But it's not enough to hear that as a clever phrase, it must become practice. To live present means you stop rehearsing every wrong done to you. It means you stop worrying about doors that haven't even opened yet. It means you train your soul to taste the grace in this single hour. Think of how easily distractions multiply. A single thought of fear can turn into a storm of what-ifs. A single memory of pain can replay until it poisons an entire day. But presence interrupts that cycle. When you pause, breathe, and root yourself in now, the storm loses its power. Your focus becomes sharper, your spirit steadier. Look at the lives of those called before you. David was anointed in the quiet of a field, not on the throne. His greatness was found in the simple act of tending sheep with faithfulness. Jesus himself spent most of his years not preaching to crowds, but living quietly, present in the carpenter's shop, fully immersed in each hidden day. What seemed ordinary was, in truth, extraordinary preparation. Being present is not passive, it's active awareness. It's choosing not to be numb, choosing to look your pain in the face without letting it consume you, choosing to notice small mercies that slip by when your eyes are fixed too far ahead or behind. It's gratitude in motion. And here's what makes this practice so crucial. If you cannot learn to stand in the present, you will always miss the door when it opens. Opportunity rarely announces itself with fanfare. It slips in quietly, like a whisper. Only those grounded in the moment can recognize it and step through before it closes. So, you are invited to stop rehearsing yesterday and stop fearing tomorrow. This hour is alive. This breath is sacred. And if you lean into it, you'll discover that even in silence, heaven is speaking. There is a stirring inside you that you can no longer ignore. It comes in waves, sometimes quiet, like a gentle nudge, other times heavy, like an ache you cannot shake. That stirring is not random emotion. It is the signal of alignment, heaven's way of telling you that you cannot stay where you are. Many people spend years drifting in circles, repeating cycles, convinced that life will change without them changing. But you, deep in your spirit, know the truth. The tug you feel is not restlessness, it is calling. It is the echo of eternity reminding you that you are out of step with what you were born to do. Think about the seasons of hesitation you've already lived through. How many times did you sense the right direction but chose delay instead? You told yourself you weren't ready. You convinced yourself you needed more clarity. But clarity doesn't come before movement, it comes after. A compass only makes sense when you start walking. Destiny only sharpens when you take steps toward it. Even now, the tension you feel is not punishment. It is proof that your next chapter is near. Every time you try to settle back into old patterns, something inside refuses. Every time you think about lowering your expectations just to feel safe, you sense a resistance in your chest. That resistance is heaven's protection. It is guarding you from shrinking into a life too small for the crown resting over you. You may think your hesitation is harmless, but hesitation has a cost. Each delay steals time. Each later becomes another season wasted. This is why heaven interrupts. It is why you find yourself restless in moments where others seem comfortable. You are not designed to sleep through destiny. You were built to rise into it. Consider Jonah, who thought running would silence the call. The storm that came was not wrath. It was a wake-up. His mission could not wait. The same is true for you. The tugging you feel will not vanish with distraction. It will not be buried under busyness. It will only grow louder until you surrender to it. There's also this truth. Destiny does not wait for convenience. It always arrives in inconvenient moments. When Moses was called, he was in hiding. When Gideon was called, he was threshing in fear. When Mary was chosen, she was an unassuming young woman in a small town. None of them felt ready. All of them were interrupted, and that interruption changed everything. So it is with you. The pull you feel is not poor timing, it is perfect timing. The ache you carry is not a problem, it is a promise. Heaven is aligning you with purpose, and though it feels uncomfortable, that discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Do not mistake this stirring for anxiety. Anxiety is rooted in fear, calling is rooted in faith. What you feel is not dread, but urgency. You are being prepared for a new assignment, one that demands your whole heart. That's why the old patterns feel unbearable now. That's why the things you once tolerated suddenly feel like chains. It's important to recognize that hesitation can become its own prison. You can replay excuses so many times that they sound like truth. You can talk yourself out of destiny by convincing yourself it belongs to someone else. But remember, hesitation is not humility. It is disobedience dressed politely. Humility says, I may not be enough, but God Island. Hesitation says, I'll wait until I feel stronger. One leads forward, the other leaves you stuck. And here's what you must grasp. Heaven has already equipped you for the step ahead. You may not see it, but the training has been happening in silence. Every battle you endured has built resilience. Every prayer you whispered has built faith. Every rejection has trained your heart to listen to heaven above the noise of people. You are not as unprepared as you think. Now comes the choice. Will you keep drifting, or will you respond to the tug? This is not about giant leaps. It is about obedience. One small yes can change the direction of your entire story. One whispered prayer of surrender can unlock doors that years of striving never could. Look closely at your life right now. Where do you feel the greatest pull? What decision have you been postponing? What action have you been afraid to take? That is likely the very place heaven is pointing. The stirring will not go away until you respond. Some of you fear the cost. You worry that saying yes will mean losing people, losing comfort, losing control. And in some ways, you're right. Destiny always costs something. But what you gain far outweighs what you release. Every crown in Scripture came with sacrifice, but every sacrifice birthed glory. Do not be afraid of the exchange. The tug is not leading you into emptiness. It is leading you into fullness. What you surrender will make space for what you were always meant to carry. Pause here and let yourself feel it. The tension between where you've been and where you're going. That weight is holy. That restlessness is sacred. It is heaven's alarm, ringing until you awaken fully. So rise, shake off the paralysis of hesitation, step forward, even if it is trembling. Destiny does not require perfection, it requires willingness. And willingness is enough to open the door you've been waiting for. Because when the tug of heaven grows louder than the comfort of delay, your only choice is to answer. There comes a point in every life where what once felt enough suddenly feels hollow. The places you once drew joy from now leave you empty. The routines that once gave comfort now feel like cages. This is not failure. This is not depression alone. It is the soul's way of telling you, you are being summoned higher. When you look around and feel like nothing fits anymore, it isn't because you are broken. It's because you are outgrowing what was never meant to contain you forever. The discomfort you feel is growth, and growth is always stretching. Think about how a seed must split open in the dark soil before life emerges. To the seed, that rupture must feel like the end. Yet without it, the tree could never stand tall, the fruit could never come. You are in such a season. Something old is cracking, not to destroy you, but to release the hidden life within you. For years, perhaps you have tried to shrink yourself to fit where you didn't belong. You lowered your voice to keep peace. You ignored your dreams, so others wouldn't feel threatened. You chose smallness, thinking it was safety. But smallness is not safety, it is suffocation. And heaven is not calling you to suffocate, it is calling you to rise. That's why the emptiness feels louder now. That's why your spirit groans in moments of silence. You are not crazy, you are not unstable, you are awakening. And awakenings always feel disruptive at first. Look at Moses. He lived decades in Pharaoh's palace, comfortable, powerful, respected. But one encounter with injustice shattered that comfort. Suddenly the palace felt foreign, and the desert became preparation. He was never meant to die a prince of Egypt. He was meant to rise as a deliverer of a nation. The same pattern repeats in your story. You feel unsettled because your assignment has shifted. And here's the truth few want to accept. Your longing will never be satisfied by temporary things. No amount of money, applause, or security will silence that holy ache inside you. You are not designed for survival alone. You were designed for purpose, and purpose refuses to be silenced once awakened. You may have tried to drown it out with distractions, endless scrolling, overworking, relationships that numbed but never healed. Yet the ache always returns, because destiny cannot be drowned. It surfaces again and again, until you finally face it. This is why heaven allows dissatisfaction to grow. If you felt too comfortable, you'd never move. If you stayed too at ease, you'd never risk. Restlessness is not punishment, it is mercy. It is heaven's way of refusing to let you waste your crown in mediocrity. So, when you feel that emptiness, do not panic. Do not rush to fill it with noise. Sit with it. Listen to it. Ask what it is teaching you. Often, it is revealing what needs to be released. Old friendships that keep you stuck. Habits that drain your strength. Beliefs that tell you you're not enough. These must fall away so something greater can take root. But this pruning is not cruel. It is precise. A gardener cuts not to kill the tree, but to help it bear more fruit. Heaven is pruning you, and the ache is the sound of branches being cut away. It hurts, but it is holy. In these moments, your choice is simple. Numb the ache or answer it. If you numb it, the cycle repeats, each time heavier. If you answer it, the cycle breaks, and you step into alignment with what you were created for. Answering the ache does not mean you suddenly know every detail of your destiny. It means you surrender to the pull. You take small steps in obedience. You say yes when your fear wants you silent. You choose courage over convenience. That is how the ache begins to transform into joy. And understand this, the ache will not disappear instantly. It will shift. At first, it feels like emptiness. Then it begins to feel like hunger. Hunger for more truth, more depth, more alignment. And hunger is holy. Hunger means you are alive. Hunger means you are ready for bread only heaven can give. Look at how Jesus spoke of hunger. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. He did not curse hunger, he blessed it, because hunger draws you closer. Hunger keeps you moving. Hunger ensures you never settle for crumbs when a feast has been prepared. So embrace this moment. Do not despise the ache. It is your compass. It is your invitation. It is proof that you were not built for ordinary life. You were crafted for something eternal, and eternity will never let you feel at home in temporary things. That is why others can walk away satisfied with less, but you cannot. That is why others seem content with shallow pursuits, but you feel restless. You are not defective, you are different. Different carries a weight, but it also carries glory. And here is your turning point. The ache is no longer something to fear, it is something to follow. Let it lead you into prayer, let it guide you into purpose. Let it stretch you into places you never thought you'd go. Because when you finally stop running from it, you will see it for what it truly is, not a burden, but a blessing. There are seasons in life when everything feels like pressure. The weight of expectations, the demands of survival, the constant need to perform or provide, they all converge until you wonder how long you can carry it. To many, this pressure feels like punishment. But for those marked by heaven, pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. Think of coal buried deep in the earth. It is black, common, overlooked, yet under years of pressure, under immense heat, that same coal transforms into a diamond. Nothing about the coal looked glorious, nothing about the process seemed gentle, but the pressure revealed what was hidden. Your life has mirrored this pattern. The weight you've carried has been great, but so is the treasure forming within you. Pressure does not exist to crush you, it exists to refine you, to expose the brilliance heaven has always planted in you. There were nights you thought you'd break, times you felt your strength slipping, but somehow you endured. That somehow was not luck, it was grace. Grace strengthening your shoulders. Grace holding your heart. Grace whispering that breaking is not the same as being destroyed. Even now, you may not realize how much has been forged in your spirit through those pressures. Compassion has grown where bitterness once lived. Discernment has sharpened where naivety once ruled. Courage has taken root where fear once had the loudest voice. None of these qualities were born in ease. They were born in fire. Remember David's words, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those crushed in spirit." Crushed, the word is not accidental. Crushing produces closeness. It turns hearts toward heaven. It teaches reliance that cannot be shaken by circumstance. That is what pressure has done for you. Look back at your story. Consider the losses, the disappointments, the betrayals. Each one pressed you. Each one could have collapsed you. Yet you're still here, stronger, wiser, more awake than before. That is not coincidence. That is proof. Proof that pressure has been shaping you for purpose. You may feel misunderstood because of it. Others see only the outside. They don't recognize the hidden refining. They may call you fragile when in truth you are being forged. They may dismiss your scars when heaven sees them as seals of endurance. But you cannot live by the eyes of others. You must trust the hand that has been pressing you, for that same hand is also the one that will crown you. Pressure also reveals what does not belong. Like impurities rising to the surface of molten gold, trials expose what must be left behind. Old patterns, false beliefs, unhealthy ties, pressure exposes them so they can be released. And though it hurts, this releasing is holy. It is heaven's mercy, disguised as discomfort. Even Jesus experienced pressure in Gethsemane. The very name means oil press. There, under the crushing weight of destiny, he sweat drops of blood. Yet it was in that pressing place that the greatest surrender came. Not my will, but yours be done. Without the press, there would have been no cross. Without the cross, no resurrection. Pressure precedes glory, always. So when you feel pressed, remember, it is not the end, it is the passage. You are being shaped for something you cannot yet see, but heaven has already designed. Do not despise these seasons. Do not curse them. Instead, look for the treasure hidden within them. Ask yourself, what has pressure already revealed in me? Strength I didn't know I had. Faith I thought was gone. A vision that refuses to die. These are diamonds in the making. And let this truth settle in your spirit. The heavier the pressure, the greater the glory it is preparing you for. Heaven would not allow you to be tested so deeply if you were not destined to carry something weighty. You are trusted with much, because you were chosen for much. One day, you will look back and see how every crushing moment was carving you into someone who could not only survive, but also shine. Your scars will no longer look like shame. They will look like proof. Proof that you endured. Proof that you were being prepared. Proof that nothing could destroy what heaven designed. So lift your head. You are not being punished. You are being polished. The pressure that feels unbearable is also the pressure producing brilliance. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. Have you ever noticed how easily distraction creeps in? One moment your heart is alive with purpose. The next you are buried under noise, endless scrolling, shallow conversations, meaningless routines. The enemy doesn't always attack with swords. More often, he attacks with distractions. Because if he cannot destroy you, he will distract you. If he cannot silence your voice, he will flood it with noise until you forget you even had one. And in a world filled with constant movement, Silence has become rare. Stillness has become almost impossible. Yet without stillness, you cannot hear, and without hearing, you cannot move in alignment. This is why heaven values silence so deeply. In silence, the whispers of God are loudest. In stillness, direction becomes clear. You may have prayed for answers, cried out for clarity, begged for peace, and yet still felt nothing. Could it be that the answers were waiting for you in silence, but you never slowed down enough to hear? Think of Elijah on the mountain. The wind tore through, but God was not in the wind. The earthquake shook, but God was not in the earthquake. The fire blazed, but God was not in the fire. Then came a gentle whisper, and in that whisper, Elijah encountered the presence of God. Your life may feel shaken right now, winds of worry, fires of conflict, quakes of uncertainty, but perhaps heaven is inviting you to step into quietness so you can finally hear the whisper above the chaos. The world tells you productivity equals worth. Keep moving, keep striving, don't stop or you'll fall behind. But heaven tells you a different truth. Stopping is not failure, stopping is alignment. Silence is not emptiness, it is sanctuary. Have you ever sat in a quiet room and felt restless after just a few minutes? That restlessness is proof of how addicted we are to noise. We crave stimulation because silence forces us to face what we've been avoiding. In silence, the wounds we've buried rise. The questions we've silenced demand answers. The ache of our spirit becomes undeniable. And yet, that ache is the very place heaven wants to meet us. Silence trains your spirit. It softens your ears to catch what others miss. It teaches you patience in a world of rush. It teaches you to wait, not out of laziness, but out of faith. Waiting in silence is not wasting time. It is declaring, I trust that heaven moves even when I do not. If you've ever wondered why your spirit feels anxious even when life seems calm, perhaps it's because you haven't given it room to breathe. Silence is where your soul exhales. It's where your burdens finally fall from your shoulders because you're not scrambling to fix them. You're simply present. And presence is power. Even Jesus often withdrew to quiet places. He preached to crowds, healed the sick, performed miracles, yet he consistently chose silence. Why? Because in silence, he aligned himself again with his Father's voice. If silence was essential for him, how much more for us? Your breakthrough may not come in a thunderous moment. It may not arrive with lightning and shaking. It may come in a whisper, a single line of scripture that leaps from the page. A sudden peace that overtakes your restless heart, a quiet conviction that you cannot ignore. All of these are treasures hidden in silence. And here is the paradox. Silence, which seems so small, is often where the loudest transformations occur. When you commit to it, even for moments each day, it reshapes you. It calms your racing thoughts. It clears the fog. It strengthens your faith. Do not be afraid of it anymore. Do not run from it. Embrace it. Make space for it intentionally. Protect it as if your destiny depends on it, because it does. Others may not understand why you withdraw sometimes. They may call you distant, but you are not withdrawing from people. You are drawing nearer to purpose. You are choosing clarity over chaos, depth over distraction, and in that choice, you find strength that no noise can give. So carve out your silent sanctuary. It does not need to be grand. It can be your bedroom, your car before work, a park bench, a single breath in the middle of a crowded day. What matters is not the place. What matters is the pause. And in that pause, you will remember who you are. Not just another face in the crowd, not just another voice lost in the noise, but one who carries heaven's frequency. Silence makes space for you to hear it again. Every soul eventually collides with the question, why me? Why do the struggles feel heavier for you than for others? Why do you carry battles others never seem to notice? It is not because you are cursed. It is because you are trusted. The weight of your story is not punishment. It is preparation for authority. Authority never falls on those who have walked paths of ease. It rests on the shoulders of those who have endured storms and refused to bow. Heaven does not hand crowns to those untested. It crowns those who have walked through fire and emerged refined. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned for crimes he never committed. His life looked like ruin. Yet each betrayal pushed him closer to the palace. Each injustice sharpened his ability to lead. Each wound carved the depth of wisdom he would one day need to save a nation. The pain was never wasted, neither is yours. The heaviness you feel, the scars you carry, the tears you've hidden, they are not disqualifications. They are your credentials. They testify that you have been through battles strong enough to destroy most, yet you endured. They testify that you are no stranger to darkness, which means you carry authority to lead others out of it. But here's the danger. When heaviness lingers, it tempts you to believe lies. Lies that you are weak, lies that you are forgotten, lies that your pain is pointless. Those lies are the enemy's desperate attempt to blind you to the truth. Your very survival is evidence of your strength. Your very persistence is proof of your calling. Do not despise the weight. It has been shaping you. Do not curse the scars. They have been sealing you. Each tear has been counted. Each night of loneliness has been recorded. Heaven wastes nothing, not even your deepest wounds. Perhaps you have wondered why joy seems harder to hold on to than it does for others, why peace slips away so quickly. It is because you carry a mantle others do not. Those chosen to carry light must walk through darkness so they know how to break it. Those chosen to speak life must first wrestle with despair so they understand how to heal it. Your heaviness is not weakness. It is assignment. Consider this. When gold is refined, it is placed in fire until the impurities rise. The fire is not a punishment. It is the only way to reveal the purity already within. Your heaviness has been fire, and what has emerged in you, compassion, resilience, discernment, is the gold heaven saw all along. And though you may feel weary, you must remember this. The weight itself is prophetic. It is proof of the crown. If you had lived an easy life, you would have no strength for what's coming. If your shoulders had never carried burdens, they could never bear the authority about to rest upon them. Lift your eyes from the pain long enough to see the pattern. Every crushing moment has been followed by unexpected grace. Every dark night has been followed by dawn. Every loss has carved space for a deeper gain. Heaven has never abandoned you. Even in silence, you are being prepared. Do not compare your journey with those who seem unbothered, untouched, unscarred. Their assignment is not yours. Their weight is not yours, and their crown will not be yours. Stop measuring your life by theirs. Yours has always been different because your calling has always been greater. And hear this clearly. The heaviness is not forever. It is seasonal. It is training ground. Joy is rising. Breakthrough is nearing. The crown is closer than you think. The very things that once crushed you will one day become your testimony, and your testimony will free others. So stand firm under the weight. Let it teach you, but never let it define you. You are not the heaviness. You are the glory it is preparing. You are not the scars. You are the crown they guarantee. There are moments in life when you can almost hear the alarm of eternity ringing in your chest. It is not a physical sound, but your spirit knows it well. That restless stirring that wakes you at night, that heaviness you cannot explain, that sudden clarity in the middle of ordinary days, these are wake-up calls. Wake-up calls rarely come when you feel prepared. They interrupt your comfort. They crash into your excuses. They demand your attention at the very hour when you thought you had more time. That is their purpose. Destiny is urgent, and urgency does not wait for convenience. Think of Jonah. His wake-up call was a storm that threatened an entire ship. Think of Moses. His came as a burning bush in the middle of nowhere. Think of Paul. His was a blinding light on the road. None of these people planned for the interruption, yet each interruption was the doorway to destiny. So it is with you. You have already felt it, those divine interruptions that refuse to let you drift any longer. The plans you thought were secure suddenly collapse. The relationships you thought would last suddenly end. The opportunities you depended on suddenly close. These are not accidents. They are heaven's alarms ringing until you awaken to your true path. You may be tempted to ignore the sound, to hit snooze on your calling, to convince yourself you'll respond when things feel more stable, when you have more confidence, when you feel more ready. But later is the thief of crowns. How many years has later already stolen? How many moments slipped away while you waited for perfect timing? The truth is, perfect timing never comes. You will never feel fully ready. And that is the point. Wake-up calls are designed to pull you forward before you believe you can move. They force you to rely not on your strength, but on grace. Even now, you might feel the tug in your spirit. a pull toward a deeper life, a whisper to leave behind habits that drain you, a conviction to speak when silence feels safer. That trembling inside is not weakness, it is heaven's alarm. Do not ignore it. Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, "The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." Notice his words already. Not tomorrow, not someday, already. The call is not for later, it is for now. You may still carry doubts, you may still feel unqualified, but hear this. Heaven does not wait for your confidence, it waits for your obedience. Jonah ran, yet still fulfilled his mission. Moses stammered, yet still delivered a nation. Paul persecuted, yet still became a pillar of faith. Your past, your fears, your inadequacies, none of them silence heaven's call. What matters is your response. Will you rise when you feel the alarm in your spirit? Will you move even when your knees shake? Will you trust that if heaven is calling, then heaven will also carry you? Think of the boy Samuel, woken in the night by a voice he did not yet recognize. At first, he thought it was human. But when he finally understood it was God, his answer was simple. "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." That one response changed the direction of his life. Your response does not need to be perfect. It does not need to be long. It needs to be sincere. A whispered yes in the dark is enough to shift the entire course of your journey. But do not wait too long. Every alarm eventually stops ringing. Every door eventually closes. Every opportunity eventually passes. Heaven's mercy is great, but heaven's timing is precise. To hesitate forever is to risk missing the moment altogether. So what will you do when the alarm sounds again? When your heart trembles at the thought of stepping forward? When life interrupts your comfort in ways you cannot ignore? Will you keep rolling over, hoping to buy more time? Or will you rise, even in weakness, even in uncertainty, even in trembling? Wake-up calls are not meant to scare you. They are meant to save you. They are heaven's way of saying, you cannot stay here any longer. The future will not wait. The crown cannot be delayed. This is why your spirit stirs when you hear words like these. It is not coincidence. It is not curiosity. It is eternity pressing on your present. You already know it. You have felt it for too long to deny it. The only question is whether you will answer. Do not think lightly of this. Lives shift when one person wakes up. Generations change when one person answers. You may think your yes is small, but heaven sees it as history being written. So rise. Do not roll over again. Do not silence the alarm. Do not delay your crown. There is something hidden within you that even you have struggled to see. You've sensed it in flashes, a sudden idea, a dream that won't die, a strength that shows itself in crisis. And yet most of the time, it feels concealed, buried under layers of fear, rejection, or shame. But hidden does not mean absent. Hidden means preserved. Heaven often hides its greatest treasures until the appointed time. Moses was hidden in a basket. Esther lived quietly as an orphan before her crown. Gideon threshed wheat in secret, convinced he was the least of his people, while heaven called him a mighty warrior. Hiddenness was never insignificance. It was protection. So it has been for you. The qualities you've overlooked in yourself, the gifts you've dismissed as ordinary, they are heaven's treasures, kept away from the wrong eyes until the right season. Your hiddenness has been a shield. Think of how the seed rests in darkness before it breaks open. No one sees it, no one applauds it. Yet underground, life is forming, roots are stretching, strength is growing. And in the right time, it bursts through the soil, undeniable and unstoppable. That is the story of your hiddenness. There were moments when you felt overlooked, forgotten, invisible. Others advanced while you remained in the shadows. Opportunities passed you by. Recognition never came. And you wondered if perhaps you were wasting your years. But heaven saw what others could not. The shadow was your training ground. The obscurity was your furnace. It was shaping you for the weight you will soon carry. Hiddenness teaches you to hear whispers others miss. It trains you to trust when applause is absent. It develops authenticity that cannot be faked. And when the time of revealing comes, you emerge not inflated with pride, but grounded in humility. Do not despise these hidden years. They are not wasted. They are necessary. Without them, you would not survive the exposure coming. Without them, your crown would crush instead of empower. Remember David, anointed as king, but sent back to the fields. To others, he was just a shepherd, but heaven saw a ruler being shaped. His harp, his sling, his psalms, all of it was training in obscurity. One day, the field became a throne, and the same hand that guided sheep guided a nation. Your story carries the same pattern. The quiet seasons are not detours, they are the path. The very places you feel unseen are the places heaven is carving endurance, wisdom, and purity into your soul. But now, sense this. The season of unveiling is drawing near. The crown that hovered unseen is descending. What has been buried is about to rise. The gift you thought too small is the very tool heaven will use to break chains for others. The compassion born from your pain, the discernment shaped in your disappointments, the endurance forged in your struggles, all of these are treasures about to be revealed. Do not minimize them. Do not dismiss them. Heaven never gave you something ordinary. If it has been hidden, it is because it is sacred. And when it emerges, it will not be subtle. Just as a seed bursts from the soil, undeniable and vibrant, your gift will break through in ways that cannot be ignored. Those who doubted you will have no choice but to see. Those who overlooked you will witness what heaven always saw. But hear this carefully, the unveiling is not for your glory, it is for His. That is why the hiddenness lasted so long, so you would know it was never about your strength, but His Spirit. When the gift flows, it will carry fire, weight, and authority not born of you, but of Him. So hold steady. Your unveiling is near. Your hidden anointing is about to become a testimony. The same God who concealed you is now the one releasing you, and He times everything perfectly. You may feel nervous. You may wonder if you are ready, but trust this. If heaven says now, then you are ready. Not perfect, but prepared. Not flawless, but faithful. And that is enough. The season of hiddenness is ending. The curtain is lifting, and the world is about to see what heaven has always known. There are moments when the horizon begins to change color, and though the sun has not yet risen, you know dawn is coming. That is the season you are in now. You have walked through nights that felt endless, valleys that seemed bottomless, storms that appeared relentless. But even in the shadows, a crown was being crafted for your head. Do not think of a crown only as gold and jewels. A crown is authority. A crown is recognition from heaven that you have been tested, proven, and trusted. It is the weight of glory resting upon your life. It is the seal of divine trust saying, "This one is ready to carry more." Authority is never given cheaply. It is earned in hidden hours of surrender, in battles few saw, in tears no one counted but heaven. The world may look only at the stage, but heaven looks at the secret place. And it is in the secret place that your crown has been formed. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. For weeks, nothing is visible. The soil looks lifeless, but beneath the surface, roots are forming. Life is stirring, unseen strength is rising. Then, suddenly, the seed breaks the surface. Undeniable, vibrant, undeniable proof of what was hidden. That breakthrough moment is the unveiling of what was always true. Your crown is like that seed. It has been forming in silence, and the season of unveiling is approaching. Or think of the sculptor standing before a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it is just stone. But the sculptor sees what is hidden within. With each strike of the chisel, what is unnecessary falls away. Painful as it may feel to the stone, it is liberation, not destruction. And as the sculptor works, the figure emerges majestic, undeniable. You are that stone. Every blow of pressure, every strike of loss, every moment of pruning has been heaven chiseling away what cannot remain, and what is emerging is a vessel worthy of a crown. This is why your journey has been so costly. Heaven does not place crowns on careless vessels. It tests, refines, presses, and only then releases the weight of glory. You may have asked, why me? Why so heavy? Why so long? But the very length and depth of your trials are proof of the value of what you will carry. Crowns are not ornamental. They are functional. They mark you not only as chosen but as commissioned. They demand responsibility. They signal to heaven and to hell alike that you are no longer ordinary, no longer hidden, no longer just surviving but rising. Scripture speaks of crowns not as fantasies but as promises. Paul wrote, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. Crowns are not for a select few. They are for those who endure, for those who long, for those who refuse to give up. And you, yes, you have endured, you have longed, you have refused to quit. That is why the horizon before you is glowing. Your crown is not a distant hope. It is a present reality, already descending, already confirmed, already appointed. But here is the truth you must hold close. Crowns are never forced onto bowed heads. You must lift your chin, straighten your shoulders, and step forward with courage. Heaven will not force you into destiny. It will invite you, it will beckon you, but it is your yes that seals it. When your crown comes, it will not be a silent moment. It will shift atmospheres. Others will notice the authority in your presence, the clarity in your words, the fire in your steps. Darkness will notice too, because crowns are threats to every lie, every chain, every shadow. So prepare your spirit, not with fear, but with reverence. The same God who refined you is now releasing you. And when the crown rests upon you, it will not slip, it will not fade, it will not break, because it is not built of earthly material, but of eternal promise. Your season of hiding is closing. Your season of rising is here. Do not shrink back. Do not apologize for the weight of glory you now carry. Wear it with humility, but also with boldness. For heaven has declared you worthy. Every time you draw closer to breakthrough, there is always resistance. Not just ordinary resistance, but the kind that feels relentless, almost calculated. That is because darkness does not surrender quietly. It schemes, it whispers, it deceives, and its final weapon is not always obvious attack. Often, it is subtle deception. The enemy knows he cannot stop what heaven has decreed, so he tries something else to lure you off the path, to entice you into distraction, to make you surrender your own crown without even realizing it. That is why the final stretch before breakthrough often feels like a battlefield of the mind. It rarely looks like open warfare. Instead, it arrives as an opportunity that doesn't quite fit, as a friendship that drains more than it gives, as a thought that whispers you are too late, too broken, too unworthy. These are not harmless thoughts. They are traps. Eve's downfall was not a violent strike. It was a question. Did God really say? The serpent twisted truth just enough to plant doubt. The enemy has not changed his strategy. He knows that if he can plant seeds of doubt in you, those seeds can grow into prisons. This is why Scripture warns, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. The heart is the wellspring of life. If deception seeps into that well, everything downstream becomes polluted. Guarding your heart is not suggestion, it is survival. Think of how Jesus himself was tested. In the wilderness, hungry and tired, he was offered shortcuts, bread without trust, power without obedience, glory without the cross. Each temptation was not random, it was precise. It targeted his identity, his assignment, his relationship with the Father. But he answered each lie with truth. That is your pattern too. You must train your spirit to recognize counterfeit light. Not every open door is heaven's door. Not every voice that flatters is heaven's voice. Not every urge is destiny's call. Discernment is your shield. Truth is your sword. And vigilance is your defense. The deception may come cloaked in comfort. It may promise ease when the true path is narrow. It may promise quick results when heaven is asking for endurance. It may offer companionship when heaven is calling you into solitude. The temptation will always seem reasonable. That is why it is dangerous. But here is the greater truth. You are not defenseless. Every time you have walked through shadows, heaven was sharpening your sight. Every time you felt betrayed, heaven was teaching you to discern motives. Every time you felt lost, heaven was tuning your ears to recognize the shepherd's voice above the noise. You already carry the tools to see through deception. The battle is not about whether the enemy will tempt. It is about whether you will recognize and refuse. Each time you choose truth over lies, your foundation grows stronger. Each time you guard your heart, your crown grows steadier. So do not underestimate how subtle the enemy can be, but do not overestimate his power either. His lies have no hold over those who cling to truth. His whispers cannot bind those who keep their hearts anchored in the Word. His distractions cannot derail those whose eyes remain fixed forward. And when the pressure to compromise grows loud, remind yourself of this. The cost of compromise is always higher than it first appears. What looks harmless in the moment can delay destiny for years. But what feels costly in obedience always produces eternal reward. So choose carefully, guard relentlessly, discern sharply, because the deception you resist today becomes the authority you carry tomorrow. And when you rise from this battle, you will not just carry your crown, you will carry wisdom to protect it. This is why your mind has felt so attacked recently, why your thoughts have seemed scattered, your confidence shaken. Hell recognizes how close you are. It is throwing its final trick, hoping you'll surrender at the threshold. But you will not, because you are not unaware anymore. You know the schemes, you know the tactics, and now you know the truth. Deception cannot thrive where hearts are guarded, minds are clear, and spirits are anchored. Courage is often misunderstood. Many think it means the absence of fear, the boldness of someone who never trembles. But real courage is quieter, deeper. It is choosing to move forward even when fear screams louder than faith. It is standing firm when your knees shake. It is taking the step when your mind says, wait, but your spirit whispers, go. You've shown more courage than you realize. Every morning you rose after nights that tried to break you, that was courage. Every time you chose to love again after betrayal, that was courage. Every prayer whispered in the dark when you felt forgotten, that was courage. Heaven has been recording each act, even the ones you dismissed as small. Courage does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like refusing to gossip when everyone else does. Sometimes it looks like telling the truth even when lying would be easier. Sometimes it looks like forgiving when bitterness feels safer. These quiet decisions may not look heroic, but they are the building blocks of greatness. Think of Daniel. His courage did not begin in the lion's den. It began long before, in daily rhythms of prayer, in small choices of faithfulness. By the time the den came, his courage was already a habit, and it carried him through the fire. Your courage is built the same way, through ordinary moments, through small obediences, through daily yeses. Each act of bravery expands your capacity. Each moment you resist fear's voice, you weaken its hold. Over time, courage becomes your rhythm, your reflex, your identity. Fear will always try to disguise itself as wisdom. It will whisper, wait for the right time, when the right time is now. It will say, you are not ready, when readiness comes only through obedience. If you listen to fear too long, it will steal years from you. But if you answer with courage, even trembling courage, those years can be redeemed. Remember Peter, he stepped out of the boat into the storm. He stumbled, yes, but he walked where no one else dared. His courage did not erase the waves, but it brought him closer to the one who commanded them. That is courage's gift. It moves you into encounters you cannot experience by standing still. The enemy fears your courage more than your talent, because courage is the key that unlocks doors. Courage is the act that silences lies. Courage is the evidence that you trust heaven more than fear. But courage is also contagious. When you choose it, others see it. Your boldness awakens their own. Your small act of obedience becomes the spark for someone else's fire. This is why your courage matters far beyond your own journey. It ripples outward into the lives of those watching you, often silently. You may never know how much impact your choices carry, but heaven knows. Heaven measures courage not in applause, but in alignment. Every time you stand when quitting feels easier, heaven marks it as victory. Every time you take a step forward, even with trembling hands, heaven records it as triumph. So cultivate courage like a muscle. Use it daily. Strengthen it intentionally. Let small victories train you for greater ones. And when larger battles come, you will not suddenly crumble. You will find that courage has already been woven into your spirit, steady and unshakable. Be strong, Scripture says, be courageous. It is not advice, it is a command. Not because heaven ignores your fear, but because heaven knows what is already inside you. The spirit within you carries boldness, not timidity. You are not left alone to summon courage from nothing. You are infused with it by the one who never leaves. So stop waiting for fear to disappear. It will not. Courage does not eliminate fear, it dethrones it. It moves anyway. It chooses anyway. And in choosing, it proves fear powerless. Look at your own story. Think of the battles that once terrified you but no longer shake you. Think of the lies that once paralyzed you but now sound weak. That is courage at work. It has been forming, growing, rising, and now it is asking to lead you further. Do not despise trembling. Let it be the sign that you are alive, awake, stepping into something larger than yourself. Fear trembles too, but it trembles because it knows courage is rising in you. There is a sound inside you that the world has not yet fully heard. Not just your literal voice, but the expression of your soul, the way you carry truth, the way you bring light, the way you move atmospheres simply by being present. Every person is given a sound, but few release it. Many bury it under comparison, silence it with fear, or dilute it by imitation. Yet your sound is different. It was designed to carry weight, to cut through confusion, to awaken what has slept in others. Think of an orchestra. Each instrument matters, but each has a unique tone. Remove even one, and the piece feels incomplete. Your sound is that missing instrument. When you hold it back, the world suffers a lack it cannot name. But when you release it, even quietly, the harmony becomes whole again. Perhaps you've believed your words don't matter, or your presence is too small to shift anything, but that is deception. The sound you carry has been tuned by heaven itself. It doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. A whisper filled with truth can break chains louder than shouts filled with noise. This sound is not limited to speech. For some, it flows in art brushstrokes that carry healing. For others, it's compassion gestures that mend hearts silently. For some, it's creativity, ideas that shift entire communities. Whatever form it takes, it is your sound, and only you can release it. The enemy has tried to muzzle you. Through rejection, he told you your words were worthless. Through shame, he convinced you no one wanted to hear. Through fear, he persuaded you silence was safer. But silence is not safety. Silence is surrender, and you were never designed to surrender what was planted in you. Think of Jeremiah. He tried to stay silent, but confessed, God's word was like fire shut up in my bones, and I could not hold it in. Your sound carries that same fire. It may feel ordinary to you, but to someone else, it will feel like oxygen. Even your presence shifts spaces more than you realize. Some rooms grow lighter when you walk in, though no one says it. Some hearts calm when you speak, though no one names it. Some lives move forward because your testimony gave them courage. That is not accident, that is sound. Do not measure your voice against others. The world doesn't need echoes, it needs originals. Comparison weakens your frequency. Authenticity amplifies it. When you stop imitating, your true resonance shakes foundations. Your voice doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. It only has to be authentic. And authenticity requires courage, the courage to release what feels small, to speak even when trembling, to act even when unnoticed. Heaven measures faithfulness, not polish. This is why you often feel restless when staying silent. Something within refuses to settle, because your sound is not optional, it is assignment. It was meant to be released, not hoarded. Look at history. Prophets who shook nations often felt unqualified. Leaders who shifted generations often felt unseen. Yet when they spoke, when they acted, their sound carried heaven's weight. You are woven from the same fabric. So ask yourself, what expression of sound has heaven placed in me? Where am I called to release it? It might not be a stage. It might not be crowds. It might be a family member who needs encouragement. A friend on the edge of despair. A stranger whose life will shift with a single kind word. The scale doesn't matter. The obedience does. When you speak from alignment, even whispers travel far. When you act in authenticity, even small gestures ripple wide. That is the mystery of heaven's sound once released. It cannot be contained. It echoes beyond you. And when you hold back, it is not just you who loses. Someone else misses their confirmation, their encouragement, their reminder. Your sound is not for you alone. It is for them. The enemy fears your sound because it exposes lies. Lies crumble when truth is spoken. Chains loosen when courage is displayed. Darkness trembles when authenticity rises. That is why the battle to silence you has been so fierce. But the battle itself is proof. Proof that your voice carries power. Proof that your presence is not ordinary. Proof that your sound is needed in this moment of history. So release it. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Stop silencing yourself because others don't understand. Stop comparing your resonance to theirs. Just open your mouth, open your hands, open your life, and let the sound flow. Because the world doesn't need another echo, it needs your fire. There are patterns in your life that you've begun to notice, cycles that repeat, struggles that return, doors that always seem to close in the same way. At first, you thought they were coincidences. Then, you wondered if they were punishments. But they are neither. They are lessons. They are signals. They are maps pointing toward freedom. Heaven allows certain patterns to surface, not to trap you, but to train you. Each cycle reveals what must be broken before you can rise into your next season. To ignore them is to repeat them. To face them is to end them. Consider the Israelites wandering the wilderness. What could have been a short journey became 40 years of circles. Not because heaven had abandoned them, but because they refused to learn what the desert was teaching. They complained, doubted, rebelled, and so the cycle repeated. Only when they surrendered and trusted did the circle break, and the promised land opened. Your wilderness moments carry the same purpose. They are not endless, but they are intentional. They reveal what still clings to you: fear, bitterness, doubt, pride. Until those chains fall, the next door cannot open. Heaven is not withholding destiny from you. Heaven is preparing you to sustain it. Look honestly at your patterns. Do you find yourself drawn to the same kind of relationships that drain you? Do you repeat the same excuses that delay you? Do you circle the same doubts that paralyze you? These are not random. They are road signs. And once you see them, you are no longer bound to them. Cycles only hold power when they remain unseen. The moment you name them, you weaken them. The moment you confront them, you break them. That is why awareness is such a powerful gift. What once felt like fate is now revealed as choice. And choice is the birthplace of freedom. This is why your spirit feels restless lately, because heaven is pressing on the cycles you've carried for too long. The excuses no longer satisfy. The habits no longer hide you. The patterns that once felt safe now feel suffocating. That suffocation is not cruelty, it is mercy. It is heaven refusing to let you waste your crown in circles. Think of Gideon. He lived in fear, hiding from enemies, repeating the cycle of scarcity that plagued his people. But when heaven called him mighty warrior, the cycle broke. His identity shifted, and with it, the destiny of an entire nation. One revelation can break 1,000 repetitions. That revelation is waiting for you too, and it begins when you choose to say, enough. Enough, repeating what no longer belongs. Enough surrendering to chains that were broken long ago. Enough believing lies that no longer have power. The cycle ends when you decide it ends. Heaven has already placed freedom in your hands. The authority has already been given. What remains is your choice to step out of the circle and into the straight path ahead. Yes, it will feel unfamiliar. Yes, it will feel risky. But freedom always does. The cage may feel safer, but safety without freedom is still prison. Better to tremble into new ground than to sleep in old chains. Your future is not behind you. It is not locked in yesterday's failures or last year's wounds. It is ahead, alive, waiting, and the only thing that can keep you from it is choosing circles over courage. So stop circling, step forward, break the loop, lift your eyes from the ground you've walked 1,000 times, and fix them on the horizon that's been waiting all along. You are not bound by fate, you are bound by choice, and choice is power. There are doors in your life that no amount of striving can open. You've pushed, prayed, fought, and yet they remained shut. At times you wondered if you were cursed, if you were doing something wrong, if perhaps destiny had skipped over you. But closed doors are not rejection, they are redirection. Heaven knows what lies behind doors you cannot see. Some doors look golden but hide chains. Some doors seem promising but lead to pits. Some doors shimmer with opportunity but mask destruction. Out of mercy, heaven keeps them sealed. You call it denial, heaven calls it protection. Every time you faced a closed door, frustration grew. You watched others walk through theirs. You compared your pace to theirs. You asked, why not me? But your timeline was not their timeline. Your path was never theirs. What shuts for you may open for them because their assignment is different, and what opens for you may terrify them because it is yours alone. The danger is mistaking delay for denial. Delay sharpens you. Delay prepares you. Delay strips away what cannot walk into the new season. Without it, the weight of blessing could crush you. With it, you are refined enough to carry what's coming. Think of Joseph again. He interpreted dreams, yet his own remained delayed. Years passed in prison, doors locked tight. But when the right door opened, it was not to a small promotion. It was to a throne. Had he forced other doors, he would have missed the one destined for him. Your life carries that same pattern. Closed doors have saved you more than you realize. That relationship that ended painfully, it would have destroyed your purpose. That job that slipped away, it would have drained your spirit. That opportunity that never came, it would have trapped you in chains disguised as success. Heaven saw what you could not, and though you grieved, you were being spared. But not all doors stay closed. At the appointed time, the right ones swing wide with such force that no one can shut them. Revelation says, what he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. This is the guarantee. When the season comes, the door will not creak open slowly. It will burst open undeniably. That is why you cannot live bitter at closed doors. If you do, you'll miss the ones opening now. Bitterness blinds. Gratitude sharpens sight. When you trust the hand that closes, you are ready to trust the hand that opens. Look around your life. There may already be a door standing before you. It might not look grand at first. It may look ordinary, unremarkable. But when heaven breathes on it, even ordinary doors lead to extraordinary destinies. The key is obedience. A locked door will not yield to force, but it will open to alignment. Often, your yes is the key. One act of surrender, one decision of faith, one refusal to quit, that is what turns the handle. Do not be discouraged by the number of doors that shut behind you. You only need one to change everything. Joseph did not need 10 thrones. He needed one. Esther did not need a dozen palaces. She needed one. David did not need multiple crowns. He needed one. And you do not need every opportunity. You only need the one that heaven has carved with your name etched into it. So keep walking. Keep knocking when prompted. Keep trusting when silence lingers. Your door is closer than you think, and when it opens, you will understand why every other stayed closed. Patience is painful, but patience preserves. And when the season shifts, you will not look back in regret. You will look back in awe. Every chosen one eventually faces isolation. It is not the kind you choose, but the kind that seems chosen for you. People drift. Friends misunderstand. Family cannot relate. Suddenly, the circles you once trusted feel foreign. You are left wondering why the path feels lonelier the closer you walk to destiny. Do not confuse isolation with abandonment. Abandonment wounds, but isolation refines. Abandonment says, you are unwanted. Isolation says, you are being set apart. The two feel similar, but their purposes are vastly different. Look at the lives of those who carried heavy assignments. Moses spent 40 years in the desert, hidden from the crowd, stripped of palace noise so he could learn heaven's whisper. David spent years tending sheep, practicing psalms to an audience of stars. Even Jesus withdrew often, retreating into mountains while crowds clamored for more. Isolation was never punishment. It was preparation. The truth is, you cannot hear clearly in crowded places. Too many voices dilute heaven's frequency. Too much affirmation tempts pride. Too much noise drowns conviction. That is why heaven sometimes removes people from your path, even the ones you thought would always stay. Their absence creates room for clarity. Their leaving sharpens your dependence on heaven alone. This is painful, yes. You will ache for companionship, long for validation, crave familiar comfort, but do not despise this solitude. In the silence of isolation, you are not being forgotten. You are being spoken to. Heaven is teaching you intimacy that does not depend on applause, trust that does not need constant reassurance, faith that does not crumble when no one else understands. Think of eagles. They do not flock like sparrows. They soar alone, higher, stronger, unafraid of altitude. Their wings are not designed for crowded air, neither are yours. You were built for heights few reach, and the higher you go, the fewer accompany you. This loneliness is holy. It is carving independence from human approval. It is teaching you to stand when no one claps. It is proving that your yes to heaven is not conditional on company. When the crowd falls away and you still choose obedience, that is authenticity. That is consecration. The enemy will try to twist isolation into shame. He will whisper, "You are alone because you are unlovable." But heaven answers, "You are alone because you are unstoppable." The solitude that scares you is the same solitude sharpening you. And here is the beauty. Isolation does not last forever. It is a season, not a sentence. At the right time, heaven reconnects you with the right people. Jonathan found David. Elizabeth affirmed Mary. Barnabas stood beside Paul. Destiny never leaves you truly alone. It simply removes the wrong voices so the right ones can find you. Until then, lean into this silence. Let it teach you resilience. Let it deepen your roots. Let it clarify your calling. Because when the season shifts and you are surrounded again, you will not depend on them to define you. You will already know who you are. Isolation births clarity. Clarity births authority. And authority births impact. That is the sequence. Without the first, the others cannot stand. This is why your lonely season matters more than you think. So breathe. You are not being punished. You are being set apart. You are not forgotten. You are being forged. You are not alone. You are with the one who never leaves. And when the silence finally breaks, you will rise not just as another voice in the crowd, but as one whose sound carries heaven's weight. Every journey, no matter how long, eventually circles back to its beginning. The whispers that started your path now echo louder as you near its turning point. You began this with questions. Who am I? Why is life so heavy? Why do I sense a calling no one else sees? Those questions have not faded. They have sharpened into clarity. Chosen one, you have walked through silence, storms, betrayals, hidden years, awakenings, and crowns. Each stage was a layer, shaping you into someone who is not just surviving but standing with authority. And now, as we reach this moment, heaven presses the final truth onto your heart. You are not ordinary. You never were. The loneliness you endured was not punishment. The heaviness you carried was not misfortune. The delays you faced were not rejection. Each was heaven's strategy to prepare you for a mantle greater than you imagined. Every scar you bear is now proof of endurance. Every tear is oil for your anointing. Every unanswered night became training for this season. Now comes the responsibility of revelation. What will you do with what you have heard? Will you walk away, nodding at words that stirred you, but leaving unchanged? Or will you carry them, let them shape your daily steps, and answer the summons echoing from eternity? This is the question every chosen one must face. The call is clear, but the response cannot be delayed. Heaven does not pause without purpose. If angels silenced their song, if eternity leaned close, it was not for entertainment, it was for awakening. This entire journey has been a mirror, showing you who you are when stripped of excuses and disguises. And what you see staring back is someone handpicked, sealed, appointed. Remember the truth. Being chosen is not about being better. It is about being burdened. It means you carry assignments others never touch, responsibilities others never feel. It means your life is not your own. It is tied to a greater design. That design will cost you, but it will also crown you. The world will not always understand. Some will resist, some will mock, some will leave. But your calling is not up for debate. It is not subject to opinion polls. It was signed into existence before you were born, and it will outlive every critic. This is why you must guard it. Guard your heart, guard your vision, guard your assignment. Do not let distractions dilute it, or deception twist it. Every crown can be stolen if left unattended. Every mission can be delayed if treated carelessly. You have walked too far to let the final hour slip from your grasp. And so, as this series of words draws to its close, let me remind you of what began in part 1, the mention of oversubscription. Remember this, many will hear the call, but not all will answer. Many will be stirred, but not all will surrender. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Oversubscription is real, but it is not random. It is heaven's way of saying, many are called, but few are chosen. Do not assume that hearing is enough. Hearing is invitation, answering is transformation. The difference between those who scroll past and those who rise into destiny is not knowledge but action. That action is now yours to take. Write it down, speak it aloud, step into it daily. Let your obedience be louder than your fear. Let your courage be stronger than your hesitation. Let your faith be greater than your excuses. Every moment you delay is a moment stolen from your future. Every step you take now is a step into the season prepared for you. And know this, you are not stepping alone. Heaven goes with you. The same spirit that hovered over chaos at creation now hovers over you. The same voice that called prophets and poets, kings and shepherds, fishermen and dreamers now calls you. The same fire that fell on disciples in an upper room burns still, waiting to ignite your life. Do not underestimate what happens when one chosen one says yes. Generations shift, families transform, atmospheres change. You are not answering just for yourself. You are answering for those who will find freedom through your obedience. Your yes is their lifeline. Your surrender is their hope. Your courage is their invitation. So let this be the hour you choose fully. Not halfway, not someday, not when convenient. Now, heaven has paused for you. The world waits for you. The future leans on you. And eternity will remember what you decide. This is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the mission. You are not leaving this word with just encouragement. You are leaving it with commission. You are not merely inspired. You are enlisted. You are not just chosen. You are charged. And when the noise of life tries to drown this out, return to the silence you felt here. Remember that heaven once hushed its choirs so you could hear who you are. Let that memory be your anchor when doubts creep in. Let it be your shield when battles rage. Let it be your spark when the night feels endless. For you are chosen, you are crowned, you are sent, and the world will never be the same because of it.